Today we are going to discuss about the topic shoulder dystocia. Let's see what is shoulder dystocia. Shoulder dystocia occurs when either the anterior or the posterior fetal shoulder impacts on the maternal symphysis or on the sacral promontory. We can see from this picture the shoulder is impacts in the either the sacral promontory here at the sacral promontory, or it is on the maternal symphysis. It impacts or stuck in between here. It is known as shoulder dystocia. The incidence between 0.2% and 1% is the occurrence of shoulder dystocia. Let's see about detail about the shoulder dystocia. The process of delivery during the labor normally passes through these steps. You already studied in the normal labor, that is engagement, descent, flexion, internal rotation, extension, restitution, internal rotation of the shoulder, external rotation of the head, and delivery of the head. That is the normal process of delivery or the steps that occur in the normal delivery. But in shoulder dystocia, what happens? Normal engagement, descent of the presenting part, and flexion, then internal rotation of the head, then head delivered by the extension, then restitution happen. Next step is the internal rotation of the shoulder. So when the internal rotation of the shoulder is occurring in the anteriorly, so that time the anterior shoulder, after the internal rotation, the anterior shoulder is struck in between the symphysis pubis and the sacral promontory. So that happens that time with the internal rotation not occur properly, head will not deliver. So if it impacts under the antero-posterior diameter of the outlet, the body will not be delivered. That is the normal process happen in the shoulder dystocia. These are the types of shoulder dystocia. That is bilateral shoulder dystocia and unilateral shoulder dystocia. So first is the bilateral shoulder dystocia or the severe type. Both the posterior and the anterior shoulder. You can see from this picture, both the anterior and posterior shoulder do not cross the pelvic rib. It will not cross the pelvic rib. So that is happen in the bilateral. That is both sides occur in the bilateral shoulder dystocia. Next is the unilateral shoulder dystocia. That is a mild type. That is unilateral, the posterior shoulder. This is the posterior shoulder. Posterior shoulder enter the pelvic cavity while the anterior shoulder hooked behind the symphysis pubis. So the anterior shoulder is hooked behind the symphysis pubis, but posterior shoulder it passes from the sacral promontory. That is a mild or unilateral type of shoulder dystocia. Next we can see the predisposing factors. Fetal macrosomia. Macrosomia means big baby. Obesity of mother, diabetes. So in the diabetes mother, baby will be big baby. Then mid pelvis instrumental delivery, that is more following the vendos than the forceps usually occur. Then post maturity, then multiparity, anencephaly. You can see from this is the anencephaly, and fetal ascites. This picture shows the fetal ascites. These are the predisposing factors for the shoulder dystocia. Next, how can we diagnose that the shoulder is stuck or it is not coming out? The main sign is definite recoil of the head back against the perineum. This is, you can see from this picture, this is the head is returned back, or head is against the perineum. It is going back against the perineum. So it is, the sign is called as turtle neck sign. Turtle neck sign, you can see from this video. The turtle means this is the turtle arm. So turtle neck sign is the like a turtle. It is bringing back his neck to the shell. Same like that, the head is going back against the perineum. That is a turtle neck sign. Next is inadequate spontaneous restitution. Actually, after the internal restitution, it should go for the restitution. So it will not go back to the spontaneous restitution. And fetal face become Plethora means like an edematous plethoric face can be seen. These are the main signs of shoulder dystocia. Next is the management. What are the management should be done? So the management can be shortened as in a small heading, that is helper syndrome. Helper syndrome means H means call for help, E means evaluate for episiotomy, L means legs, that is Max Roberts maneuver, that it can be seen in detail later on. Then P is external pressure. P means pressure, that is external pressure, that is suprapubic pressure. Then E means ender, that is rotational maneuver, that is E means ender or rotational maneuver. R means remove the posterior arm, and R means roll the patient to her hands and knees. This is the maneuver. So first line maneuver usually done, that is the first line of management or first line maneuver as Mac-Roberts maneuver and external pressure, suprapubic pressure. Then second line maneuvers are enter the rotation maneuver and remove the posterior arm, roll the patient to her hands and knees. So each one we can see in detail and each step. So management principle: call for help, that is initiate red alert and tell them what happened. When we are called for help, you have to tell them clearly what is happening. Then clear infant's mouth and nose. Then time window for brain hypoxia is 5 minutes. So immediate or emergency management should be done. Do not cross over 5 minutes. So not to give traction over the baby's head. Do not try to pull. Okay, so that is do not give traction over baby's head. Then never to apply fundal pressure, as it causes further impaction of the shoulder. That's why if we see the turtle sign, we should not try to do the fundal pressure, that furtherly causes impaction of the shoulder. Next, we have to start an IV line because it is a emergency situation. So we have to start an IV line and provide lithotomy position, legs in strips. Stir-ups with the buttocks at the edge of the bed, and empty the bladder by catheterizing the bladder. Then to involve the anesthetist, we have sometimes need the analgesia is ideal. That's why we have to call the anesthetist and the pediatrician for the infant resuscitation should be necessary. This is the preliminary management. And considering the need of emergency management, shoulder dystocia drill should be practiced by the birth attendants. Very important. Next is, so we already explained episiotomy. So we have to provide a wide mediolateral episiotomy, as it provides space posteriorly. Space will be increased. So that's we have to provide the episiotomy. Next is we already explained about the legs, that is Mac-Roberts maneuver. Mac-Roberts maneuver is the tell the patient to abduct the maternal thighs and sharply flex them into her abdomen. Tell them to flex into their abdomen, so that pressure, that gives a pressure to the abdomen, so that will pressure to the pubic area. So there is rotation of symphysis pubis upward and decrease in angle of pelvic inclination. You can see from this picture. So when there is this inclination, when the patient is on flex leg, then when they flex the leg to the maternal thighs, that inclination will be increases, space will be increases. So this does not increase pelvic dimensions, but straightens the sacrum related to the lumbar. You can see it will straighten. From this picture, it is slightly curved, but when they flex the leg, it will straighten the lumbar vertebrae. It needs two assistants. So there should be two assistants. So one will hold the head of the baby, and one will give the pressure and helps to flex the leg. That is Mac-Roberts maneuver. Next is the external pressure. So same time we can give the external pressure to the symphysis. The head and neck should be grasped and taken posterior. You can see here is posterior, while suprapubic pressure we are giving the, you can see from here, we are giving the suprapubic because it's stuck between below the symphysis pubis. So we have to give a pressure to the suprapubic area is applied by the assistant slightly towards the side of the fetal chest. So you see, it is giving not straight pressure we are giving to the side. So here baby's back is here, so from the back we are giving the pressure. So the shoulder is stuck between the symphysis pubis, that will be released. So when we given the pressure from back to front, the pressure, the struck will be relieved. This will reduce the bisacral diameter and rotate the anterior shoulder towards the oblique diameter. So it is now in the anteroposterior diameter, so it will relieve from the anteroposterior diameter to the oblique diameter. And this maneuver is simple as well as effective. It needs only one assistant is needed. Okay. So one assistant can hold the head and one person can give the suprapubic pressure. So second is the, first we explain the McRoberts maneuver. Second is the extra pubic pressure, external pressure or suprapubic pressure. Next management is enterpelvis. It's a rotational maneuver. Enterpelvis means we are entering or enter to the pelvis. We are inserting our hands to the pelvis. That is known as the wounds maneuver. So general anesthesia we should be administered, and the posterior shoulder, here is the posterior shoulder, the anterior shoulder is stuck in here. So we try to we done the suprapubic pressure, so it will be relieved. So then what you should do, you have to introduce the hand, that the posterior shoulder is rotated to the anterior position. So then the posterior shoulder is here, so we have to by the corkscrew movement, like a corkscrew movement, we have to rotate from the, you can see here, you can rotate. So when we rotate, we will get the other arm. So this is done by inserting two fingers in the posterior vagina. This is a posterior vagina. We can introduce two fingers and simultaneous suprapubic pressure is applied. So we are introducing the lower portion, so suprapubic posterior vagina. Then we have to relieve the finger which is stuck in here. You have to relieve. At the same time, suprapubic pressure also should be applied. This is pushes the bisacromial diameter. This is the bisacral diameter between the further point of the acromion process. That is the bisacromial diameter from the so that will changes to the anteroposterior diameter to an oblique. So that will changes this bisacromial diameter from anteroposterior diameter to oblique diameter. This helps easy entry of the bisacral diameter into the pelvic inlet. Okay, this is the Rubin 1. That is wound manual, and reverse is back side too. We can push from upper side also. So this is the two method used for wounds manual. Next is the enterpelvis rotation manual, extraction of the posterior. We have to introduce the hand inside, and we already explained you about how to rotate from the anteroposterior diameter to oblique diameter. You can bisacral diameter we are changed from anteroposterior diameter to the oblique diameter. Then operator hands is introduced in the vagina along the fetal posterior humerus. You can see from this picture it is introduced, and the arm is then swiped across the chest. So it is turned. We are keeping, and we are swiping the hand across the chest. This is the chest. Okay, chest, and thereafter delivered by the genital traction. You can see they are holding the hand and taking the hand, and by the traction we are removing the one hand. So this diameter will be released. Then next is the roll the patient to her hands and knees. That is all four position. Final step is all four position. Changing if the other steps are failed, then we can use the all four position. That is all four mean patient is standing all four. Okay. Then changing the mothers onto all four may increase the pelvic diameters and allow the fetal position to shift. So downward traction on the posterior shoulder helps to free the impact of the shoulder. So when the patient is in all four, the traction will be to lower downward traction is usually occur. So that will release the impacted shoulder. So this is the total management just now we seen, that is Macrobus maneuver and suprapubic pressure, and this is the Rubin's maneuver or reverse Rubin screw maneuver in the shoulder. Then here is the inside. Next is the posterior shoulder delivery by inserting the arm. Okay, if all these fails, then we want to use the word all four position. This is the algorithm for the management of shoulder dystocia. So first call for help, and you have to explain them properly about the condition, and you have to call the pediatric obstetrician and anesthetist for the resuscitation, and anesthetist for the pain management, and the pediatrician for the resuscitation. Then McRobert maneuver, thigh to abdomen, and suprapubic pressure and routine axial traction, and we should give the some more extend the episiotomy. Then deliver the posterior and interrotation maneuvers should be done, and all failure they inform the consultant obstetrician and anesthetist, and if above maneuvers fail to relieve the impact shoulder, then you can provide all four position or repeat all the procedures again. Third line maneuvers. Clerotomy. One or both clavicules may be cut with scissors to reduce the shoulder girth. This is applicable to a living anencephalic baby as a first choice or in a dead fetus. So that is, if baby is anencephalic, if it is living or dead, and if the baby is dead fetus, also we will use this method, that is the clavicles, one or both clavicles is cut with the scissors to reduce the shoulder girth. Next is the Savinelli maneuver. This Savinelli maneuver is we are bringing back the head to the, we are pushing back the head to the uterus. That is consists of cephalic replacement. The head is replacing to the uterus and doing the cesarean section. So relax uterus with the terbutaline. We have to provide terbutaline to relaxation of the uterus. This contraction should be stopped, and rotate the head back to the occipital anterior position, and reverse restitution. That is, we can restitution is already happened, so we can it is in the baby's head is came out, and restitution already happened. So reverse restitution, this head is back to the anteroposterior diameter should be bring. Okay, and can flex the neck, and upward pressure we can introduce the head back to the uterus. That is a Savinelli maneuver. Next is a symphysiotomy. Insert Foley's catheter and use vaginal hand to laterally displacement and urethra to avoid any injury, and inside symphysis through mons pubis. You can see from this picture, you introduces the catheter, then you can introduce a hand inside the vagina and cutting the symphysis, symphysis in the mons pubis area. That is a symphysiotomy. Then this is a newer techniques. Nowadays it is using, it is not in your book, but this is known as PAST, posterior axilla sling traction. So posterior axillary sling traction. These techniques we can see in detail. The techniques make use of a sling that is placed around the posterior axilla. The method it is used as a suction catheter or urinary catheter. Mainly a suction catheter, plastic rubber suction catheter is used for this PAST. That is a posterior axillary sling traction. For that we are using the suction catheter. So a suction catheter or a firm urinary catheter is folded over the posterior index. So this is the we can take a suction catheter. We can like this. We can flex it. So we are flexing the. We can make like a loop. You can see this one. So this is, we are making like a loop. Okay, then we are introducing, if it is the this is the shoulder, so we are introducing posteriorly behind the posterior shoulder. So you can see from second picture, loop is then introduces then to the pet posterior behind the posterior shoulder. We are introducing the posterior shoulder. The finger in index finger of the operator, second hand is used to catch. Then next finger we can use the other hand and use the catch the loop. Okay, then take out the loop. Next step, the loop is pulled through creating a sling around the posterior. We can see there is a fourth picture. You can like a sling. It is in the posterior arm. It is like a sling. You can see like a sling. It is both. So this thing and this loop both should be like hold like this, and you can apply an artery clamp here. Then we can use a traction. Okay, you can use a traction is then applied to the sling to deliver the posterior arm. You can see from this picture, this here is loop introduced one side, and the opposite side we are taken that, and both is clamped with an artery, and we can use the pressure or the traction to apply the sling to deliver the posterior shoulder. If the posterior arm does not follow, it is then swept out easily because room has been created by the deliver the posterior. So a posterior arm, if when we turn it, there will be enough space for the delivery of the arm. So that is the method. Then we can do what if the aforementioned procedure fails. So when we done this procedure, if it fails, the sling can be used to rotate the shoulder. So if we cannot pull out, what we can use? We can use this sling to rotate the posterior arm from the under the symphysis pubis or the under lower portion of the vagina. The sling traction directed laterally towards the side of the baby's back, then anteriorly, while digital pressure is applied behind the anterior. So from the anterior shoulder, we can use the pressure by the assistant, then rotate. So there will be more space for the leg. Usually once the posterior shoulder is delivered, the anterior dystocia is dissolved, the delivery will be occurs quickly. This is the method used for the past. I think you are clearly understood. Next we can see the complication. So fetal complication include asphyxia, brachial plexus injury. You can see from this picture, and due to stretch and Erb's or clumsy palsy, and fracture of humerus, clavicus, or sternomastoid hematoma during the delivery, and perinatal morbidity and mortality are high. Then maternal complication include PPH, cervical or vaginal perineal tear. We are using lot of manipulative procedures. There is a chance of the vaginal and perineal tears occur, and increased operative delivery and morbidity may occur. Next, how can we prevent? The prevention, the risk factor assessment and progress of labor may help in prediction of it, but they are insufficient. But trials include the management of suspected fetal macrosomia and history of previous shoulder dystocia and CKLA, and partogram may signal you the delay of the stages and the fetal. So we can use the partogram to assess for any delay, and you can take for the proper history. We can take the proper history, so we can see in the previous delivery there is a history of the shoulder dystocia or CKLA. So that's all about the shoulder dystocia. So till now we discussed about the shoulder dystocia and what are the causes and what are the management. Thank you once again. Posterior axillary sling traction.